Hello, everyone. Ian Nicholas back for an interesting episode of Rams Revealed. It's our first episode where we're not interviewing the coaches, we're interviewing the players. And I know a lot of these guys very well. I tried to play football with them, wasn't very good, but these guys are, and that's why they were named the 2020 New Canaan Football Captains. I'm joined by Reid Brown, Christian Sweeney, Chris Canet, Teddy DeClue from his car, and David Siegel. Don't worry, Teddy. I'm very happy you were able to make it. We got everyone here, and let's kick it off with Reid. Reid, a lot of these guys have played a lot on varsity these past 2 years, but you've sat behind Drew, obviously, and you've done your job with the practice and obviously on the sidelines as Drew's right-hand man. How was it to, I guess, not learn from Drew, but what are some of the biggest takeaways you've taken into your own game learning from a guy who's going to Notre Dame?
Drew was very hard. He was a very hard worker, and I think that's what he was doing, like what he would be doing after practice and working with wide receivers. I kind of picked up on that. And I've just been trying to work as hard as I possibly can, like he did in the summer and in the spring before the season.
And for the casual New Canaan football fan who might not know you too well because you haven't played a whole ton, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks through 2 years, how would you describe your game and what are some of your biggest goals for this upcoming season?
Um, I'm not really sure. I'm probably a more defined pocket passer. I'd prefer not to run, but when the time comes, I'll do it. Uh, I'm just excited to get going in the season though and see how it works out because this team's going to be incredible.
But you might not have to escape the pocket too much when you got guys like David Siegel and Teddy DeClue blocking for you. And I know that, the O-linemen don't usually get as much credit as they deserve, but I always hear Reid preaching you guys up. So, Teddy, you play on the interior offensive line. You started all last year, played through some injuries. You got the job done. How does it feel to be an interior offensive lineman where you play a position that is extremely critical, but you might not always get the credit?
It's great. Even though you don't hear the announcers going, "Oh, I'll tell you the clue with the excellent block." It's good and it's rewarding in its own sense. You get a great bond with those guys next to you. And, even though maybe the casual fan isn't someone who will be like, "Oh, wow, what a great O-line block," the guys on the team, the guys that you really care about, they all understand and recognize it. And you can get your own worth out of that.
And David, you really came on your sophomore year in the middle of the season, and you had an awesome second half of that year, and that's why you have numerous Division I offers to your name. But you weren't able to play the entirety of your junior season with a torn labrum. How ready are you to prove to the coaches that have already given you D1 scholarships that you are the kind of player that can succeed at the next level?
I'm extremely ready. I mean, it started 2 days after surgery when I was cleared to start riding a bike. I started then. There's been a couple too many 4 a.m.s where I probably shouldn't have been out working out, a couple too late nights, and I'm really ready to show what I can do after having a full year off.
And Chris, I'm going to go to you here because you and David share a little bit of a connection with the torn labrum thing. And I know it probably really sucked when you went down in week 2 against Richfield in such a big game with that torn labrum. After having such an awesome sophomore year as well at safety, and you were expected to play a bigger role on offense this year, how excited are you to get back on the field for your last year at New Canaan?
Ian, I can't wait. We have such a special group of guys that are returning, especially with these other 4 guys in this call with me. I mean, I feel like our senior leadership is going to be so amazing this year. And when I went down, I mean, I had full trust in my other brothers that they were gonna win that game. And I mean, we didn't get the job done, but it's okay. I mean, just like David, from the moment we got injured, from the moment surgery ended, my only goal in mind was to get back and just get playing with my brothers. So, I mean, that's what I got.
And you're an Ivy League man heading to college to play lacrosse. So, football obviously comes first, and hopefully we'll have that full season. And you can prove, like David, that you guys can get it done in those big games. And finally here, I'm going to go to Christian. Christian, you really got hot as the season went on last year, and you've really done everything coaches have asked of you. You've played running back. You played a little bit of quarterback. You played wide receiver. I mean, heck, maybe you could replace Nick Rabin one day. But, you've played everywhere where you've needed to play. But you've finally seen the click in that second half of the year at wide receiver. How comfortable did you get in your role as a wide receiver as the season went on last year?
Oh, extremely comfortable. I struggled throughout the first part of the season last year, mostly because I played a little running back on the side, like you mentioned.
So once I started playing full-time wide receiver, I was able to get a great chemistry with Drew, and it showed on the field.
And one quick thing I wanted to ask, because I was just thinking about it. You're one of the special guys in New Canaan that can play football, basketball, and lacrosse at a high level. And I don't know how you do it, keeping up with all three sports throughout the year. And I know obviously nobody wants a global pandemic, but was this time a nice little break in a sense to, kind of relax and get ready for football? Or how did this whole break feel for you and your body and sports in general?
It was tremendous for my body. I finally got some rest, but it feels a little weird. The first time since probably third grade, I have a complete off season, a free spring. So it was very nice to have.
Yeah, it's crazy how you can keep up your success at all three different levels. But David and Teddy, if you guys want to have success next year, you're going to be guided by a new coach on that offensive line. And Bruce Cunningham, a guy who is a former Wilton High School head coach, was on the Greenwich staff last year, a guy for a really great background. And I know you haven't really been able to meet him in person yet, but David, from the online meetings you had with Coach Cunningham, what are your biggest takeaways so far?
We've talked to him a lot, and it's going to be a great year. I know he loves running the ball, and that's what our O-line wants to do. So, so far, so good, and I think it's going to be an amazing year.
And Teddy, do you agree with that sentiment? Do you love running the ball as much as David and just, providing lanes for the backs, but also protecting Mr. Reid Brown?
Of course. I think Coach Cunningham, I can't speak highly of him enough from what I know and what I've seen of him. He seems really passionate for the game, and obviously he's coached us a large 20, 30 years. I can't speak highly enough of him enough. I'm really excited to be able to meet him in person, get to learn from him.
And Chris, one last question for you in a sense. Last year you were expected to play a little bit bigger role offensively at wide receiver before you went down. And this year was a lot of open spots in a sense. A lot of guys left, but, there's a lot of competition in there. How do you feel the competition's in that receiver room? And if you have to play on offense, how excited are you to get involved potentially on that side of the ball as well?
So excited. So excited. Last year, the first 2 games, I was playing both sides of the ball, and I think I'm in the conditioning mind. I think I'm good for that. So I think I can play the entire game, and I've been doing it ever since third grade. So that's what I love to do. I want to be on the field at all times and help my team win in any way possible. So last year, starting even the first game, it was just so fun to be out there and get a new experience playing a different position. And I hope this year, I think we have, even though we have guys like La Police and Luke Morton and other guys that really help us out on the offensive end leave, I think we have really good guys under them that's going to help so much this year and just raise our potential.
I couldn't agree more. And it's something that you mentioned, ever since youth football, you guys have been producing at a high level. And it's so exciting to see you guys do the same thing at the high school level. It's just exciting for me, I guess, as a fan now, to see what you guys have been able to do and translate, that youth level to the next level. My last question for all of you is going to be pretty much the same one. And, you're all here because you're all captains for the football team. Tell me in a few words what being a captain means to you and what you want to do with your role. And I'll start with Reid.
It's just picking other guys up, not putting them down. Meaning just like you're building up a trust and a relationship with them that's positive, and you're not negative in a very demeaning way. And that's just, I think, Ian, going back to the question you asked me before, I think that's my goal for this year is to try and create the biggest bond and connection with each, not just these 4 guys, but the whole offensive line, all my running backs, all my wide receivers, all those guys. So yeah, just trying to create a good connection and keeping up with a good team standard and chemistry.
Good point, Reid. What about you, Christian? What does this mean to you?
Well, in the words of Coach Silvestri, it's a very special time for all of us. It's our senior year. I just want to go out there and have a great time. No matter what the result is, although I think we want to win a state championship, ultimately, if we don't get there, I just want to have a great season. But I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to win it all.
You guys in this room, or this Zoom, I guess I should say, you guys have the talent to get there, but you got to have a little bit of fun along the way. I agree with you, Christian. David, what about you? What does this captain mean to you, this captainship?
It means a ton, kind of like growing up watching some of the New Canaan greats like Zach Allen and Lucas Niang and seeing them lead their teams to a state championship. It really makes me want to do the same.
Totally. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, for me, I've watched in my lacrosse career and my football career, I've watched so many great captains lead the team. Guys like even Ben Conley my freshman year, some guy like Quinton O'Connell. I mean, I've just seen so many good captains, and what I'm going to try to do is take the best parts of them and try to help it into my leadership role. And what does it mean to me? I mean, my goal as a captain this year is just to bring everyone together and keep everyone moving towards the same goal. So there's no dissension, and we have a great year. We work together and we win it all, like Christian said.
And lastly to you, Teddy, the interior anchor of the O-line. What do you feel about your role as a captain for this upcoming season?
You know, obviously it's an honor to be able to have a position in such a storied and, you know, like legendary program. I love the sport. I love everyone I'm playing with. I played with most of these guys since third grade. There isn't a tighter group of guys I think that have come through the high school ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm excited to help lead and help bring up and help push everyone from senior, junior, sophomore, even freshman forward into being the best football players they can be.
Well said, Teddy. Well said, everyone. It's going to be Coach Marinelli's 40th year at the high school, if you can believe it. It's going to be all of your guys' first years as being captains of the new Canaan football team, joined by Christian Sweeney, Chris Canet, Teddy DeClue, David Siegel, and Reid Brown. I'm Ian Nicholas. I'm not on a team anymore, but my gosh, I'm going to like seeing this team in action. This has been Rams Revealed, Captain's Interview for Football.